It's time to review the front pages of our national dailies, and we'll kickstart with our sister publication, Daily Trust. The bolder headline: Federal government goes after certificate forgers. That's on page 3 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And just above the bolder headline, Kano Maradi Rail Project to reach Katsina December, says federal government. That's on page 24 of the Daily Trust. Flood destroy houses, farms in Kogi, disrupt activities in Lagos, and that's on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And policeman killed as gunmen abduct guards in Kwara. That on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And just below the bolder headline, reform or risk irrelevance, Tinubu warns at On Guard. That's on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And family of 6 found unconscious, 1 dead in Benue. That's on page 30 of the Daily Trust. Osun to federal government, don't release local government funds to sacked APC chairman. That's on page 28 of the Daily Trust. And lastly, CBN, Naira abuse will raise printing costs if. That's on page 24 of the Daily Trust. Do well to get yourself a copy to stay informed.
All right, next up we have the Guardian newspaper. Right in front, political parties or SPVs row over rights multiple dormant parties as INEC considers 14 more. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. At the top left, we have 2027 Atiku Court's Southwest votes, pledges to unite Nigeria. And we have Tinubu summons Ibas to Asuvilla amid financial probe. That's on page 3 of the Guardian. Reps raise panel to monitor Tinubu's Naira for crude policy. That is on page 3 as well of the Guardian newspaper. The federal government honors Ogoni 4 to resume oil production in communities. That's on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. NSIB links Abuja Kaduna train derailment to poor maintenance. That's on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. Last G deploys survey to manage HIV spread treatment. That's on page 7 of the Guardian. Hunger at 80. Tinubu urges sweeping UN reforms, permanent seat at UNSC amid global shifts. That's on page 8 of the Guardian. Federal government renews commitment to ending torture, upholding human rights. That's on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. Oberavori Momodu mourns as Oscar Ibru dies at 67. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Make sure you grab yourself a copy and stay informed.
All right, next up we have the Punch and the bolder headline states.
We'll be moving to our reviewer right here in our studio. We have Dr. Theophilus Abba, who is the Programs Director for Daily Trust Foundation. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you.
All right, we'll be looking at the front page of Daily Trust. First off, we have federal government goes after certificate forgers. What is your take on that? And just of recent, we had, quite a blowout when it came to a sit-in for an examination by a top official in Nigeria. So with the federal government going after certificate forgers, what do you think?
Well, I think the story is talking about, bringing together, creating a hub, for verification of, of certificates that Nigerians parade, especially those who work in the civil service, and the idea is to prevent forgery. But I'm surprised that even before now, we should be talking about certificate forgery in the civil service, because one of the things I thought they used to do was verification of certificates. If you apply for a job in the civil service, you say you have a degree from ABU, there is a desk that will go to ABU to say, okay, this Theophilus Abba, he said the graduate from ABU, what class of degree does he have? The VC who signed this or the registrar who signed this, the person who ought to have signed that. That verification is something that I know used to be conducted. I don't know if it has stopped. I don't know if some persons, who ought to do it are not doing it. But then you really need to be sure that the people you recruit to do jobs can actually do those jobs. One of the things I was thinking somebody will begin to work on is to verify whether people who claim to have degrees actually have that knowledge that they claim to have. I'm thinking that in the age of AI, it's one of the things I'm proposing anyway, that in the age of AI, we should return to oral tests. In the way you say you have so and so degree, you are reading so and so papers, okay, come and let's test you right to know
Real
whether or not. To know whether you actually pass through. Because now if it is just paper, you know, you can use AI to write all sorts of things that I've passed. So you need to be able to say, okay, let's have another level of verification. But I think having that hub is good, but I think the practical approach to it, being able to send people to universities or linking up, if there's a portal that every university has, you know, that shows the people who have awarded degrees, you know, and what year, you know, linking everything together in such a manner that, you know, anybody who wants to confirm whether somebody passed through a university can actually go on his system and log on and put the person's name, put his year, maybe if there's student number, put student number, and then say, okay, yes, this guy actually graduated from this university. But a whole lot of things will depend on technology and effectiveness. Because if the system is the way it is now, you know, it means that it will take another 100 years to achieve that.
100 years?
Yes, you know, because I tell you, you'll be shocked. If you go to the university from where you graduated, if you go back and say you want to access your file, you'll be shocked. You know, you'll be shocked. The file may not be there. Maybe termite has eaten it up. You know, maybe the record is torn. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's an experience. I went to university and I said, okay, I completed my work and I wanted my file to update. I was told to go and bring every other document I had before. I said, what I must say, well, there's no way we can begin to look for it. So if we have that system, and I don't think most are changed, there's no digitization, you know, because I expect that if you said, okay, we started having local universities in 1950-something, then every document that these universities own from the 50-something should be digitized and put on their portal. You understand? But then if that does not happen, it means that even if you graduated in 1992, 93, 95, you may be shocked that you go back to that university, you ask for your file. Somebody would say, well, there was flood, everything was swept away. Sorry, there's nothing we can do. So we need proper record keeping. That is one of the challenges we have with FY. If you go to a minister and say, look, I need this document, you know, some persons will delay and prevent, will delay in giving you that document, not really because he didn't want to give. Maybe that document is not there. Maybe it is somebody's laptop. Maybe it is somebody's, it's in a desktop that has crashed. And so proper, archival of, you know, official document, even certificates is very, very important. I hope that the federal government will do this, but then all the institutions, whether primary, secondary, maybe let's leave at the tertiary, polytechnics, college of education, and universities, and all the if they can do proper archiving and link it to that portal, it will help us more. Instead of, you know, talking about forged documents and all this and all that, we can access them by, you know, on our handheld device or even on desktops.
All right, then let's look at this headline. The federal government says the Kano Maradi Rail project will be reaching, you know, Katsina in December. What is your take on this?
I thought that is one of the legacy projects of the Buhari administration.
Yes.
And, you know, Buhari had this sense of, okay, this is Africa. You know, there has to be interconnectivity between African countries. There has to be trade relations between African countries. And I think he was enthusiastic about it. And when you say to reach Katsina, I don't know, maybe it started from maybe Maradi back to Nigeria. I don't know where it starts from. But then it will be very interesting because I think if it's reaching Katsina, then it means it will soon get to Kano, you know, and then there will be free, maybe a better movement, faster movement, because the trade between Nigeria and the Niger Republic is massive. Even though it's local, you know, you take cow there, you take sheep there, you buy rice, you buy this, you buy. People are into that. It's a multi-billion naira trade. And this train facility is supposed to maybe make it easier.
All right, let's look at this. Flood destroys houses, farms in Kogi, disrupts activities in Lagos.
Well, we were talking about a flood. And if you look at even Abuja, it's been raining since this morning. And I think the major problem we have is that we have the predictions, but we have not properly put in place measures, you know, to prevent those who are in flood-prone areas from being victims again. In Kogi State, I think there is a local government called Ibaji. I understand that local government is actually about 5 community local governments submerged. And unfortunately, this is not the first time. It has happened again and again and again. So I remember the governor was saying some weeks ago that they had taken proactive measures that they ensure that flood, you know, does not affect those communities this year. But then we are seeing it happen again. So I don't know. There has to be a genuine effort, you know, to ensure that people don't become victims of flooding. If it is a culture, if they need to be exposed to this kind of culture that will ensure that they are secure, you know, if they have to relocate them from where they are now to another place so that they are not affected, they have to do all those things. If there is need for dams, you know, because that was what was proposed in 2012, that there should be a huge dam between Lokoja and Edo State, one dam whereby all this water can converge, and then farmers can use the water from the dam as irrigation water to farm. You know, if these measures need to be done, then somebody needs to start it. It's not like you wait until next year. There will be another rainy season next year, and if nothing is done, it is still the same story, flooding. I will start talking about NEMA going there to give them, you know, blankets, give them rice, give them this. You know, it has been happening since 2012. I mean, we had the major one in 2012, and this is 2025. That's about 13 years ago. If we're going to construct this dam that we would say is the solution, you know, in 13 years, even if you are not using Nigeria, if you bring some Chinese, in 13 years, they should be able to construct that dam, you know, that will reduce the devastation that Nigerians suffer from these floods. So it's not a matter of talking about it, it's a matter of doing the right thing. I think if Jonathan was said to have voted some billion, about 200 billion, you know, to curtail it, but the money disappeared, you know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For helping us review the front pages of our national dailies. And with that, we've come to the end of a Daybreak this morning. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning for definitely interactive and engaging conversations as well. I've been Hawa Adamikiawa. Thank you for watching.
And I am Mimuna Babudu. Do well to follow us on all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream to stay informed. Have a good day. Bye-bye.